So you like coding and you're aspiring to be a software engineer at a big tech company. How does one go about this goal? I sat down with two Microsoft software engineers at different stages in their careers to learn more about their roles and unique journeys towards software engineering.
Hello, my name is Jason Cook. I've been working at Microsoft for over 20 years, and I'm a principal software engineer at the moment.
Hello, my name is Beyza, and I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. I'm currently in the Azure App Service Analytics team. So I applied to Microsoft around 2.5 years ago when I was about to graduate. We are just taking a bunch of prod data from Azure PaaS and serverless products.
Normally, when we use Gmail or Netflix or Dropbox, we're using something called SaaS, Software as a Service. These are ready-to-use applications. PaaS, which is what Beyza's team works on, is Platform as a Service, and it's a platform to build and deploy your own applications. Serverless, which Beyza also mentioned, is a type of architecture in which resources are automatically scaled based on the workload.
And then we are aggregating and processing that data to provide our partner teams and our PMs more meaningful data to take important business decisions. So I'm mostly just maintaining those pipelines. And aside from that, I also worked with some projects on Azure Logic Apps. I implemented target-based scaling for Logic Apps standard resources.
Logic Apps is an Azure service in which you can create workflows using visual blocks.
So App Service is a service in Azure, and as such, we, unlike more traditional software where you'd ship it out and the customers would use it, and if they have a problem, it's kind of like, oh well, too bad, we can't do anything about it. Since it's a service, we have to make sure the service stays up. And so if a customer encounters a problem with their sites, they can contact Microsoft support, and if Microsoft support can't help them, they'll loop in people from the product team. Since App Service is a very big service, and it's has lots of things going on, it's often fairly difficult to figure out what's going on. It's also a very big service in terms of the number of people who are using it. So at any one time, there are lots of people who could be affected. It's kind of a stressful time to be servicing and being kind of one front person for the entire service to say, oh no, if something goes wrong, what's going on?
Now that we know a little bit more about what Beyza and Jason do, I asked them, how did you end up as software engineers?
I was born and raised in Istanbul, Turkey, and I moved to Canada when I was 17, 18 to do my undergrad studies. I went to McGill University in Montreal, Quebec. And after graduation, I got a full-time job offer from companies, and I decided to become a software engineer at Microsoft. From childhood, I was always interested in STEM fields. It wasn't primarily just software, but more like physics, mathematics, and chemistry. Like most of the physical sciences, the classes were very interesting to me. And I have made my decision to become an engineer. I wasn't sure what kind of engineering I would do, but it just seemed like it was going to be a good fit for me in the future. And because I wasn't really sure, I decided to just follow advice from my parents and also people around me. And they have stated that mechanical engineering is like the fundamental engineering discipline, and with a degree in that, you can branch out to almost any industry. And I decided to just go with mechanical engineering, and I was in that major for the first 2 years of university. And I took some computer science classes that were part of my program, and I decided that maybe I should just pursue computer science instead. Because it was more interesting than the thermodynamics classes that I was taking at mechanical engineering. It seemed more fun and something that I could do in the future. So after long hesitation and back and forth with my parents, I decided to just switch to computer science. I did a minor in mathematics and statistics as well. And during my university time, I tried to be a part of a lot of different clubs and understand what my interests were. I think that's a great way to be able to experience and explore different projects with not having this built responsibility of it being a part of your official curriculum. So I became a part of our computer science undergraduate society, and I was able to meet with really bright minds there, and we did lots of side projects. And through a friend, I was also able to get an internship at a startup that's based in Montreal, which is working on AI chips. And this was back in the day when the ChatGPT, the generative models were not really that popular with the general public. So it was really just trial and error of building different machine learning models, testing them, training them using expensive GPUs. So that really teach me a lot. And I was also able to be a part of a patent application through that experience. And I have made my mind that I would want to pursue academics and maybe a doctorate degree and then being a postdoc and just working at a university. But then my priorities have changed after taking some like 500 level grad courses. I saw that it was really demanding and not really something that I wanted to do. So I just decided to apply for jobs in the industry and start working as soon as I graduate.
I went to undergraduate at SUNY Stony Brook on Long Island, New York. There I majored in physics, kind of with a special interest in simulating physics, doing computational physics, that sort of thing. And then after that, I went to graduate school at the University of Washington here in Seattle, across the lake from Redmond. And there I continued in physics, focusing on simulations. Me and my advisor would work on basically systems of equations that would describe physical processes and convert them into computer programs to try to simulate what's actually going on. So for most physical problems, you can't solve it analytically. So you need to do some sort of simulation to figure out what's going on. And so that's kind of where that's where I was doing programming, not in the languages we use at Microsoft, but in Fortran. And I also did work with writing papers, kind of to write up what we had learned from our simulations and kind of give kind of the next points of what needed to be done. And so these papers were published. And so that's what I did in academia. After I decided I didn't want to continue in academia, I started looking for a way to kind of take what I had, what skills I had, and transition to them to kind of a corporate world where those could be used. So I was looking for a way to use my skills, and programmer writers, which is a specialization technical writer, it looked like it was going to be a good fit for me. There was a position at Microsoft as a contractor, and I applied there and said, hey, I can program, because I wrote these physics simulations, and I can write, as evidenced by the papers I had written. And that's how I got the job. And it turned out it was a good fit for me. The type of programming I was doing for the simulations, it was fairly different from what was done in kind of the business setting. But it was close enough that I was able to use those skills. I joined in the dev team. I worked on Visual Basic and JavaScript documentation, and I worked there for 5 years. In that time, I learned more about the programming side of things. I was writing tools to help automate the documentation that we were generating, and I felt like I wanted to do more on the programming side of things. To that end, I asked around, I talked with people on the teams, and they said that I could probably the best bet would be to transition to a test engineer. So I transferred there. Then I transitioned to the C# team to test their code. And after the team I was on got moved around to multiple different orgs in the meantime. And about 10 years ago, Microsoft had decided that all engineers would write test code, and the test organization would basically, everyone who was test would transition to be an engineer. And so that's how I became an engineer. Around that time, I also was doing more of the creating reports for our team, working with the databases to kind of show kind of how our products were behaving. And that's still what I'm doing today.
As we saw, there's many different paths to becoming a software engineer. Next time, we'll be hearing more from Jason about Microsoft tips, tricks, and tales. See you soon!
My dad really wanted to have me study mechanical engineering, but that's a different story.